Caitlin Clark just broke a WNBA ratings record. And it wasn't even a regular season game. The Indiana Fever played the New York Liberty in a preseason matchup on Saturday, and 743,000 people tuned in to watch. That's a 76% increase over last year's preseason window, for a game that doesn't count in the standings, for a broadcast that historically pulls minimal viewership, for a player who only played 17 minutes and shot poorly. 743,000 viewers. Let me break down what just happened and why this proves the doubters wrong about Caitlin Clark and the WNBA.
Shooter, she is feisty over there, making the offensive foul. Clark takes the three and drills it.
Oh my! Behind the back!
The game itself was played in Brooklyn on April 25th. Indiana handled New York 109-91. Caitlin Clark was making her return after an injury-shortened 2025 season where she only played 13 games. And she looked rusty. 7 points on 2 of 10 shooting, 1 of 5 from 3, 4 assists, 3 rebounds, in 17 minutes of action. By her standards, that's a rough outing. Clark spent most of 2025 dealing with groin and ankle injuries. She missed the majority of the season, and this preseason game was her first real action in months. The rust showed. Shots were missing long. Timing was off. The explosiveness that makes her special wasn't fully there yet.
Around, it's going to be probably a little sloppy here and there for both teams. That's kind of what preseason games are about. You give everybody some run, you figure out what lineups work, what don't, and everybody's just trying to get their footing again, and the same goes for me too. So I think obviously I can rely on the USA basketball stuff that I did and that experience of getting back out there and my body feeling good and bring that into today for sure.
But here's what makes this story bigger than one preseason performance. None of that mattered to the audience. 743,000 people watched anyway. Not because Clark had a great game, but because she was playing. That's the Caitlin Clark effect. And it's not slowing down. Ion broadcasted the game, and those 743,000 viewers represent a 76% increase over the comparable preseason window from last year. That's not a small bump. That's not a marginal uptick. That's a massive surge in interest for a product that historically doesn't move the needle. Think about what preseason games actually are. They're warm-ups. Coaches are testing rotations. Players are shaking off rust. Starters play limited minutes. The outcomes don't matter. And traditionally, viewership reflects that. Preseason basketball has never been appointment television. Until now. Because when Caitlin Clark is on the floor, the rules change. The math changes. The expectations change. A preseason game that would normally pull a few 100,000 viewers at most suddenly becomes must-watch content for 750,000 people. Now, let me put that number in context. Because 743,000 viewers for a preseason game is genuinely unprecedented in WNBA history. Regular season games during the 2024 season averaged around 1.19 million viewers across ESPN platforms. That was a 170% increase from the year before, and that was considered a massive breakthrough moment for the league. But this is preseason. This is April. This is a game where the final score gets forgotten the moment it's over. And it still pulled numbers that would be respectable for a regular season broadcast. If you want breakdowns like this on Caitlin Clark, the Indiana Fever, and everything happening in the WNBA, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Now let me show you why this matters so much. Here's where it gets even bigger. The Caitlin Clark effect isn't new, but what this preseason number proves is that it's not fading. When Clark entered the WNBA in 2024, she brought an entirely new wave of fans with her. She came out of Iowa as the NCAA's all-time leading scorer, and the audience that followed her college career followed her to the pros. Her debut games became the most watched WNBA broadcasts in years. The league posted its most watched regular season in 24 years, and that momentum carried into 2025, even with Clark missing most of the season due to injury. National broadcasts in 2025 still averaged around 794,000 viewers through the first 56 games. That's a 21% increase year over year. ESPN windows climbed to around 1.3 million viewers per game, the league's most watched season in network history. And Clark barely played. Now think about what that means. The WNBA had its best ratings year ever, while its biggest star sat on the bench injured. That tells you two things. One, Clark's impact on the league's baseline visibility is permanent. She brought new fans who stayed even when she wasn't playing. And two, when she comes back fully healthy, the ceiling is much higher than anyone anticipated. Because if a preseason game with a rusty Caitlin Clark, shooting 2 of 10, can pull 743,000 viewers, what happens when she's healthy? What happens when the regular season starts and the games actually matter? What happens when she's playing 30 minutes a night instead of 17? The Indiana Fever opened the regular season on May 8th against the Dallas Wings. That game features Caitlin Clark going up against Paige Buchers and Azzi Fudd, 2 #1 overall picks facing the player who's already proven she can dominate at the highest level. That's not a preseason warm-up. That's a cultural event. And if the preseason baseline is 743,000, the regular season opener could approach 2 million viewers, maybe more. Networks don't make decisions based on hope. They make decisions based on data. And the data just told them that Caitlin Clark is the most powerful ratings driver in women's basketball history. That's why all 44 Indiana Fever games are nationally televised this season. That's why ESPN, ABC, NBC, CBS, Amazon Prime, and USA Network all committed to broadcasting Fever games. That's why the league just negotiated its largest collective bargaining agreement in history. Because the numbers don't lie. Clark brings viewership. Viewership brings ad revenue. Ad revenue funds player salaries. And the new CBA guarantees players the biggest financial boost the WNBA has ever seen. Team salary caps are jumping from roughly $1.5 million to $7 million. Average salaries will surpass $583,000. Top-end Supermax deals start at $1.4 million. And Caitlin Clark's salary alone is projected to skyrocket from under $100,000 early in her career to well over $500,000 under the new structure, with even more upside as the cap continues to rise. That didn't happen because the league felt generous. It happened because the business model changed. And the business model changed because Caitlin Clark brought a new audience that networks are willing to pay billions of dollars to reach. Now let me show you what this means for the rest of the league. Because the rising tide lifts all boats. When Clark drives ratings, every player benefits. When networks pay more for broadcast rights, every team gets more revenue. When the salary cap jumps, every roster has more money to spend on talent. But there's a flip side to that. The league is now more dependent on one player than it's ever been before. And that creates pressure. Pressure on Clark to stay healthy. Pressure on the Fever to build a championship roster around her. Pressure on the league to manage expectations when Clark eventually retires. Right now, the WNBA is experiencing a boom. Expansion has pushed the league to 15 teams. Media distribution is broader than ever. Games are on major networks and streaming platforms. And Caitlin Clark is the engine driving all of it. But boom cycles don't last forever. And when the league's viewership is this heavily concentrated around one player, the risk is real. What happens if Clark gets injured again? What happens if the Fever struggle and miss the playoffs? What happens if casual fans tune out when she's not playing? Those are questions the WNBA has to answer. Because 743,000 people watched a preseason game to see Caitlin Clark. That's incredible. But it also means the league hasn't fully diversified its audience appeal beyond her. Angel Reese's Atlanta Dream got 28 nationally televised games. Aja Wilson's Las Vegas Aces got 33. Both are all-stars. Both are elite players. But neither moves the ratings needle the way Clark does. And that gap creates a problem when you're trying to build a sustainable league-wide product. The solution isn't to diminish Clark's impact. It's to build other stars who can carry their own weight. Paige Buchers in Dallas, Azzi Fudd alongside her, Aaliyah Boston in Indiana alongside Clark. These are the players who need to develop into ratings drivers themselves. Because the healthiest version of the WNBA is one where multiple stars bring audiences, not just one. But that's a long-term project. Right now, in April 2026, the story is simple. Caitlin Clark played 17 minutes in a preseason game. She shot poorly. She looked rusty. And 743,000 people tuned in anyway. That's not just a ratings number, that's proof that the Caitlin Clark effect is real, that it's sustainable. and that the WNBA made the right bet when they built their entire 2026 media strategy around her. The regular season starts May 8th. The Fever have all 44 games on national television. Caitlin Clark is healthy and ready to play a full season for the first time since 2024. And if a preseason game can pull 743,000 viewers, the ceiling for what this season could become is almost impossible to predict. Networks are betting billions on it. Players are getting paid because of it. And 743,000 people just proved that the audience is ready for it. Caitlin Clark just shattered a WNBA preseason ratings record. 743,000 viewers for a game that doesn't count. A 76% increase over last year, and proof that the doubters were wrong. The Caitlin Clark effect isn't fading. It's just getting started. What do you think? Will Caitlin Clark break more records this season? And how high can WNBA ratings go when the games actually matter? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the latest on Caitlin Clark, the Fever, and everything happening in the WNBA. We'll see you in the next one.